Alright everybody, what is going on? This is Trey aka CanTreGame and welcome back to another video. Now this one is not going to be a gameplay video, rather it's going to be another one of those story videos, like the only second one I've ever done. But granted, this ain't gonna be no philosophical, change your life, moral of the story. Well, there's a moral of the story, but it's not gonna be any of those emotional type videos. This one is going to be a story I preached on Instagram that I was going to be telling everybody, and that is how I nearly lost
$600+
And thinking back on it, the title of the video should be changed because it's probably more like 1,000+. Now, before I get into the video or the story of why that happened, I need to go back in time a little bit. Spider-Man No Way Home movie came out again, so it was like, you know, the second time it came out in movie theaters with prequels and extra content. A friend in the group, in the Instagram group, had asked if he wanted to see it a second time, and I'd never seen it the first time, so I was like, let me check my bank account real quick. Gotta make sure I got enough money in my deposit for that. I gotta pay rent and everything. Checked it, had enough money. I'm like, sure, I'll come. So the thing is, I had to make sure I got my ticket. I don't drive, so I had to Uber all the way there and back. So it was pretty expensive to get there. Long story short, we made it. Now, another thing that people might not know is that I play Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Since 2020. So it's only been 3 years. I'm very new to the game. Well, I mean, I gotta understand the game now. I guess I can say, like, I'm out of the way. I'm not like a complete noob. I do have a plethora of cards, like way too many. But at the time when we were talking about that Instagram, I was in a party chat talking to one of my other friends who I know plays Yu-Gi-Oh! I was telling them about how I have all these cards, but I hardly get to duel anybody. I hadn't dueled anybody since I lived with my dad because I moved out, and the only one I was dueling with my brother with my cards. So I have all these cards. I buy like almost all the new sets, but get all these new archetypes, fill them up, make these decks, and come up with combo plays and stuff. But it's like I can never really battle anybody because there's nobody really around. So we were talking about how when we go see the movie and we go eat after, we could duel then. You know, we could finally get to duel the actual cards. He said the same thing. We were talking about how dueling on the game is one thing, but it's a whole different feeling to duel the actual cards. We get to, we agreed to bring our decks and duel each other for the first time in real life after the movies, which is the main reason I was actually gonna go. But I didn't really care about the No Way Home movie, in all honesty. It was already out. I didn't care to watch it again. 3 Spider-Man is cool, but I didn't really care. But I really just wanted to duel. I was really just like, skip the movie, let's just duel right now. And with that in mind, I gotta get into a little bit of my Yu-Gi-Oh! History. But one of the things I struggled with for a long time is I wanted a deck an archetype that kind of fit me, my personality, you know what I mean? Key things. I love the element wind. The wind is my favorite element. I've always loved it. Like, before CanTreGame, on PlayStation and every other platform I was on, my name was Son of the Wind. It was Son of the Wind 18, 19, and then 20 and 21. There's always been Son of the Wind, which is, you know, callback to Sonic when he called himself the Knight of the Wind. But I do love the wind a lot. And one of the things I wanted in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck was a deck themed around the wind. Now, when I say wind, I'm not talking about no winged beasts, Leerlisk, or Harpies. Nothing like that. I ain't talking about no monster with the wind attribute. I'm talking about literal wind. So think something like Swiftmaster on DNF duels. The way like he uses wind, he causes tornadoes and stuff like that, tornado projectiles, that stuff I'm talking about. I ain't talking about a character that just has like super speed because of the wind, or has like a sword that can like do wind slash. I'm talking about literal wind, like manipulating the elements. Think something like Kieran on Moth Hunter. Anybody that played that, the lightning unicorn that can cause thunderstorms and cause like thunderstorms, that type of stuff. Like, I'm talking about tornadoes and hurricanes. I ain't talking about no wind slicing. Like, I'm talking about actual natural disaster and calamity based like wind things. That also played the role into what I wanted my Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck too. I wanted a wind based deck. I wanted the deck also had to be themed around darkness or stuff like that. That's just like another alternative that I want to use your deck. Because one of the other things I enjoy is like dark stuff, like zombies, vampires, you know, fiends, just like darkness and stuff associated with darkness, dark powers, stuff like that. So like yin and yang, like opposite light, because truth be told, I hate light. I'm more of a nighttime person in general. I prefer the moonlight. I prefer to be a night owl. I prefer working graveyard shifts rather than being up and active in the day and being in the sun. I just prefer dark things. And also, you guys know I'm a huge fan of horror. I play a crap ton of horror games on this channel. So I either wanted a wind deck, I want a deck themed around darkness, and another thing I'm very big on is plants. I love plants. I find something very tranquil around plants. So when I get very angry or upset, one thing I do is take walks, is to be around nature. It's very calming. And at my job, we have a garden section. And whenever I'm out there, if I'm stressed about something, when I'm just surrounded by plants, like they just have this natural, I don't know, they just have this type of ability to just like suck the energy, the negative energy right out of it. Just feel kind of pure around plants. I actually do want to work on gardening when I get older and get my own place. So I enjoy plants, I enjoy wind, I enjoy darkness, and the fourth thing that I'm looking for in the deck is being able to display like both personalities. They kind of have mood swings constantly. The moment they're happy, and the next moment you come to them like in an instant, they can be all moody. And like, what the heck just happened? But basically, I'm looking for a deck that kind of embodies me. You know, like I'm looking for my Dark Magician to Yugi, Blue Eyes to Kaiba kind of deck. And for a while, I settled on Rose Dragons because, you know, Rose Dragons, they kind of have plants in them and they're dark themed. Like, this is kind of cool, but it's not completely it. Until I did find my calling for a deck. I found the deck that I feel like encompassed me the most out of the decks, at least previously. And for the record, I do know that there's an actual wind-based deck themed on tornadoes called the Claudian Archetype. But the thing with the Claudian archetypes is they suck. Okay, they're terrible. They're F-tier deck. I know it's literally a deck themed on clouds and tornadoes and stuff like that. I know it's like the best. If I was looking for a wind-based deck that fit me the most, that would probably be it. And I did consider it, but the way they play on counters and stuff, and like, they use counters, I just don't like the play style, this and that. And another thing that a deck had to have in Yu-Gi-Oh! It had to deal with traps. Like, I do like trap decks. Trap decks are literally my favorite decks to play. I like the stun decks. I like the ability in Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to tell my opponent no. So, like, I love Solemn Judgment, I love Solemn Strike. I love any type of deck that can just stop your opponent from doing something or stop them from playing. One of the things I hate is if my opponent is comboing in my face and I am helpless to stop it and I just sit there for 20 minutes. But I love to put a stop to their plays. I would like to do that, and the best way to do that usually it's with traps. I end up watching, you know, a very popular YouTuber, which a lot of people know, Golden Nova Yu-Gi-Oh! I was watching his video because at the time Tactical Masters came out, and one of the archetypes, I was looking at the archetypes coming in the set. As most people do, they research a set before they buy it, see if there's anything worth it. And one of the archetypes in there was the Labyrinth archetype, right? And people should know what that is, but not if you're really into Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, it's full of fiends, it's got the two maidens, and Lady Labyrinth, and Labyrinth Silver Castle. But they are a trap deck archetype, right? They're traps. They use traps, multiple traps. And I'm like, this deck is kind of cool. I like the style of it. So I already knew I was going to get it. And I did end up getting every single card, including the latest one that came out, the Lady of the Labyrinth, which was the arm and a leg to get, but I do have to give it every other one that card archetype, which I posted on Instagram. If you haven't seen it, you can look it up. It's still there. If you just scroll down and follow me on Instagram, it should be there. But as he was going through each card, what it could do, its uses, best uses, what cards to pair it up with, he mentioned an archetype that would pair up well with the Labyrinth archetype. And that's when I hear about trap tricks. He mentioned the trap tricks, and I was thinking, I was like, I see trap tricks a lot on Master Duel. What is this deck? And let me look it up, right? So I ended up looking it up. I ended up watching this video on trap tricks. And one thing I noticed about the trap tricks is that something that immediately caught my eye is, for one, there are trap decks. Like, this is awesome. It fits my style of play. I love trap decks. Two, all the monsters in the archetype are either plants or insects. They're a trap deck. That's one check. They're plant deck and insect, but they are plants. That's 2 checks. And 3, the third one that got me was the fact, like the way the trap tricks work by lore. So basically, if you don't know the lore of the trap tricks, long story short, they kind of lure unsuspected victims into the forest with their charm, because the trap tricks are a bunch of girls that look like plants or insects. They charm the victim into following them deeper into the forest. Then they lead them into a trap, like a trap hole of spikes, or they lead them into like into an abyss full of like their insects that can eat them up or stuff like that. So they kind of just use their charm to lure you in and trap you, kind of like a overprotective girlfriend. It's like one moment they appear this way, but then like another moment they truly act this way. So that kind of goes with the whole, you know, one moment I feel this way, one moment I feel that way. Kind of like the mood swingy thing that I was looking for. It's like, okay, they're plants, they're trap deck, and they kind of have 2 sides. That's perfect. So as I was purchasing the labyrinth cards off of TGC Player, I also made a priority to purchase every single trap trick monster and card in the archetype, and every single, well, almost all of the trap hole cards to go with them. So I was literally buying labyrinth, trap tricks, and damn near all the trap holes, right? So you can imagine that hit my pocket pretty hard. And if I wasn't working the job I was working, that would probably make me bankrupt. Like at my old job, I would never been able to do that. Well, thankful for this job. So yeah, I ended up getting trap tricks. And I decided that that was the deck I was going to use. Like, I felt like it fit me the most out of any of the deck that I've used in research. Like, I'm going to use trap tricks for a while. I'm going to get strong. I'm going to do this. So back to the movie theater. Now I get that out of the way. We duel. Movie ends at like 11 something. Every other place is closed. We usually go out to eat, but they didn't want to go to Applebee's, so we ended up going to McDonald's. And that was a pay for me because I'm vegetarian, and there's nothing to really get there. Say maybe a cup of water and maybe a fish sandwich, which I was not getting from McDonald's. I'm damn sure not eating their fries. So we set the table, we duel, and I obviously used trap tricks. And I knew he was using Elemental Heroes. He's the Elemental Hero of the game. He was an Master Duel. He was about we were playing Legacy of the Dualistic Revolution. He owns those cards IRL. I already knew I was in for. And I knew that when we dueled, he was going to be a type of player that likes to combo for Eternity and ends you in 1 turn. He always likes to go second. It's quite annoying, and truth be told, he's kind of the reason I play Yu-Gi-Oh the way I do, where I prefer to stop my opponent from doing things. I prefer to stop them in the middle of their action. He's the reason I use stuff like Infinite Impermanence, Fiendish Chain, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Strike, Necro Valley, etc., the whole ladder, you know what I'm saying? So he's the reason I got into traps, and I actually ended up finding a love in the type of stun play style, which I know a lot of people hate. A lot of people don't like when you don't let them play the game. But I don't like watching the movie, so I apologize. Not really, though. So we duel. We get to duel and use Elemental Heroes like I knew we would. I use my trap tricks, and this is like the first time I'm really dueling with the deck, like an actual real duel. Because beforehand, I was getting the cards, I was play testing with the decks, and the deck was incomplete at that time. There's still some more cards I needed to buy, but I basically got what I needed to. I ended up putting like Super Poly in the deck and this and that, but I still needed other cards we'll get to later down the line, right? But I've been play testing, coming up with combos, trying to make sure what the card effect probably knew exactly what I was doing, looking up videos, looking up deck profiles. So this was the moment of truth, where I finally get to duel them, and we both get to satisfy our hunger to duel with our actual cards. I go first, obviously, because you know, he won the dice roll, he wanted to go second, because Elemental Heroes like the OTK. I draw my hand, and it's an immediate break. I mean, it's not like a complete break, but I drew. There were only 9 trap trick cards, trap trick monsters in my deck. There were only 9 in this deck out of 40 cards, and I happened to draw 5 of them. And I shuffled my deck pretty good. I watched it on the table and I drew 5 monsters. So I immediately was like, oh, okay, I lost. All I could do was set a monster. I think I set Mantis, right? I mean, no, it's normal summon Mantis to get the search and add a card to my hand, I think. And then I kind of had to end my turn because there's really nothing else I could do. And I knew that I was praying that he break 2, otherwise he's gonna pop off on me, right? Thankfully he break 2. So I was able to get my cards out, do something. I was able to XC summon into Rafflesia at least and get a, you know. But it was bad. Eventually he was able to get a board of heroes on the board and do his combo. He got rid of Rafflesia pretty quick, and it was bad. I didn't take too much damage, but it was rough. But it was my turn. I drew a card, and thank God the card I drew was like a card that kind of changed the tide of the duel for me. I ended up drawing Super Polymerization. Because one thing I know about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that most of these decks that are especially popular, people that play, are mostly dark types. And if you guys know, Super Poly and Starving Venom Fusion Dragon go hand in hand, and I was running 3 Starving Venom Fusion Dragons in my extra deck. And Super Poly allows you to tribute your opponent's monster from their field, or you can tribute monsters from any side of the field for a fusion summon as long as their materials match, right? And for Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, all you needed was 2 dark monsters, and that's it. And he had, well, behold, 2 dark monsters. So I immediately play Super Poly. I get the card, and I'm like, so happy I get to play and do something. Tribute out 2 of his monsters, summon Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, activate its effect to get its attack up and copy ability. Hit him directly, get into like 3,200, and at that point, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win, but then he hits me with Dark Rule no more. To which I replied with a loud scream, and then the duel kind of stalemates again. He's not able to overcome Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, but I'm not able to hit him because he keeps kind of defending. So we're both just kind of brick to get the cards we need. And then the owner of McDonald's tells us to leave and the store is closed, we gotta go. So we end up canceling the duel. And I feel very disheartened because I feel like I was gonna win. Couldn't finish the duel off. And then, you know, I immediately text him on Instagram when we get home, like, you got lucky. Like, you were food, you know what I mean? Like you were food and you were cooked. I left my meal unfinished. For next time we duel, we finishing it to the end this time. We're gonna finish the duel, right? So, with that, you know, I take my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and mind you, when I take my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to duel anybody, I take all of them with me. And I have a very unique way of transporting my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which I will explain, because I don't want to tell you what it is, because it will literally spoil the ending of the story, right? But let's just say I brought all of them, and he was like amazed with how many Yu-Gi-Oh cards I have. Like, for only playing this game in 2020, I have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, my collection is huge, and you'll understand why I'm going to tell you the story. But you'll get an idea of how big it is. Take my stuff, head home. A disappointment. So fast forward to 2023, and this is around the time when Beware the Trap Tricks structure deck comes out, which I got all 3 of them. Because, you know, that's literally my favorite deck now. So I was gonna, any chance to upgrade the deck, I was gonna get it. Right. We ended up talking about dueling again, and I tell him about, like, back then how we never finished our duel, and how I could probably come over to his house this weekend and we could duel, right? And he agrees. He said it's cool. I tell him my grandma could probably drop me off to school like that. So, but by this time I had another deck I was playing too. I also play a reptile deck too. So the 3 decks I was playing at the time, I was playing Labyrinth, I was playing Trap Tricks, and I was playing a reptile deck. And the reptile deck is my favorite deck. So in that deck, it's kind of a hybrid of Ogdoadic monsters, Reptilian monsters, and Venominaga. So you got mostly Ogdoadics, then you got a decent amount of Reptilians in there, and then you have some literally only 4 Venom archetype cards in it. So it's like 3 different reptile archetypes in one deck. And the goal of that deck is to summon up and Ominaga as fast as possible and win. Because, you know, I'm like I don't play anything meta, guys. Though I do have some meta cards, I don't play anything meta. I try to have fun with it and to respect my opponent's skill level. I'm not one of those meta sheeps who shame the casuals, and I'm not one of those casuals that make fun of the meta sheeps. Personally, I'm on the fence. I think that debate between the community and the divide is kind of stupid. We can all just get along. I was practicing with a reptile deck, and that was the deck I was going to use against him. I was going to use my reptile deck against him, and I had my trap trick cards as a backup. By then I got all the cards I needed, like Parallel Exceed, Phantom Knight the Shade Brigadier. Like, you can imagine how you'd run the trap trick deck like proficiently, and I had all the cards for it. So that deck I was already practiced out. I've been using it for like millennia now. I was pretty good with it now, and I was trying to perfect my reptile deck at the time, which I had gotten pretty good at. It got to the point where my combo was like really good. Here's where we get into how I store my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. When it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I don't store them in binders. I don't store them in sleeves. I old-fashioned, right? The way I store my Yu-Gi-Oh cards is I separate them by archetype. So, like, for example, my Blue Eyes, my Dark Magicians, my Trap Tricks, my Labyrinth, Rose Dragons, Harpies, Cyber Dragons, etc., Performables. All my archetypes are separated by archetype. And anything generic, like spells, generic spells, traps, or monsters, I have them in their own Ziploc bags. So I got 3 Ziploc bags for monsters, spells, and traps that are just generic and archetype to archetype. And every other archetype is separated. So because I own so many archetypes, I have a huge amount of Ziploc bags. Like, when people see me bring my whole collection when a duel, they're like, damn, that's a lot of cards. it's a lot of cards. Like, I have a very large stash of cards. When I'm not using my cards in a Ziploc bag, I store them, I put them on my closet on the top of the shelf in Ziploc bags, and bring them out, I need to use them, pull out the cards I need to, build the deck, and experiment. So that's all I was doing, was playtesting, right? But then at the time, my grandmother came in to me and told me to take out the trash because the trash truck comes tomorrow. And for us, the trash truck comes on Wednesday. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll take out the trash. No problem there, right? That's what you told me to do. So, take out the trash. I'm talking about coming over this Saturday and stuff, how we're gonna duel. We're talking about the decks we're gonna use, how we can improve them. Telling them to get ready because I'm really practicing. I'm getting my combo down memory. I don't have to look at my cards anymore. Like, it's getting to the point I can look at my head and know exactly how the combo's gonna go. Like, plan it out. I got the combo map ready. All good. I was practicing my Labyrinth archetype. Got that down to a T pretty efficiently. But my reptile deck was hands down the one I was the best with. I could get the cards, I could do my combo without fail. And if something went wrong where a card got taken out the combo, I knew exactly how to correct it. I knew what I was going to do next turn. It was literally like, with that deck, I was like three moves ahead, as opposed to my Trap Trick and my Labyrinth deck being like, I knew what to do, but the combo got corrupted. It was like, oh, how do I correct it? You know, my reptile deck was the best one, and that was the one I was going to use throughout the majority of our duels when I went over. So then the time comes where I like, all right, let me put the reptiles away. Let me practice my Trap Trick deck because I really need to understand how to use this deck completely. Can't find it. Can't find it at all. I was sitting there like, okay, where's my cards? I checked my closet. I look up.
Nope.
Not on the racks. I'm looking on the ground because sometimes I store them on the decks I'm gonna use. I store them on the side of my bed so I know like this is what I'm going to use, right? I look over there. All I see are like my Labyrinth, my reptiles, obviously, my sprites, my TR elements, and I think that was about it. Really. Trying to think, okay, where did I put my Yu-Gi-Oh cards? I mean, maybe I left them in my method of like how I usually store them. Because usually when I take my Yu-Gi-Oh cards on travel and I come back home, the way I travel with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I just kind of set it next to my bed and that's it. Couldn't find it at all. So then I'm like, and mind you, I'm in a party chat with my friends when I was talking to them about the duel and stuff. I get off the mic and say, hold on, man, let me find my cards. I can't find them. take it off and looking around the room. I like flipped this room upside down like 4 times fully, and I'm like, what happened to my cards? So I go to my bed, right? I literally sit on my bed, crisscross the applesauce. I take my hands, cross them in prayer motion. My fingers are in prayer motion, right? I set both elbows on my knees. I set my chin on top of my knuckles, and I'm like trying to think really hard. What happened to my cards? I remember we dueled like early on, and I put it there. I touched the sands here, and I did that. I did all at once. Like it hit me. Like it felt like Mike Tyson punched me super hard. Like it was like when Light Yagami first came, like when he lost his memory, then he touched the death note again, and all those memories came coming back that he was Kira, and his eyes started glowing, he was yelling really loud. It hit me like that. So the way I store my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? When I travel them, is I put them in a bag. I put them all in a bag. But it ain't like the typical bag like usual people do. Or anybody who store them in a bag would have the decency to put them in a proper bag, right? Maybe like a carriage bag or a book bag or something. No. When I store my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and take them to travel, I use trash bags.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
You're a fucking idiot.
I know. So, you can imagine what happened when my grandmother told me to take out the trash that Tuesday before Wednesday. I didn't take it out when I got home from work. What happened was, usually on Wednesday, so when I work my job, I have to get up at 4 a.m., right? And at 4 a.m. when it comes time to take out the trash, because I usually run around like 12 or something, before I head out to work, I get all the trash in my room. During the night, when the sky is dark, throw them in the bin, roll the bin down, and that's it. Then I go to work for the day. But in my me scrambling out the door trying to get the trash out, I was so tired, I was just focused on getting the car and getting to work that I didn't really look at the contents of my bag. I wasn't thinking that I forgot I set my trash bag of Yu-Gi-Oh cards next to my bed. So I grabbed that along with all the other back there trash in the room and tossed it. I rolled it down. So, yeah, it hit me that I threw my Yu-Gi-Oh cards away. And usually when I get home on Wednesdays and I check the bin, it's already empty because, you know, nobody's waiting until 2:30 to take out the trash. They usually run it really early, right? So, yeah, it was 2:30 by the time I realized what I did with my cards. And I kid you not, like my whole collection, like my gut felt like when you are in trouble and your parents tell you to go upstairs because you know you're about to get that treatment with the belt, and your stomach falls into your gut. You know what I mean? You get that dread, that heavy feeling. You get like scared. I felt that. Like it hit me really hard, all the way through, bruh. The only thing that survived that I had with me that wasn't in that bag was my reptiles. I was experiments with them. My labyrinth. I think only a handful of my Blue Eyes cards made it. My TR elements and my sprites. Only 5 archetypes. In that Ziploc bag, all of my Dark Magician cards, my Elemental Heroes, my Crystal Beast, my Trap Tricks would hit me the most, my Red Eyes, the rest of my Blue Eyes, which was the majority of it, all of my Fusion monsters, all of my Links, all of my Synchros, all my XCs, my Harpies, my Performables, my Crystal Beast, my Sun Avalon, my Cyber Dragons, my Galaxy Eyes, and the list gets longer and longer. All thrown away because I didn't want to throw them away when I got home that previous day, when it made sense, where I had enough, or I wasn't in such a rush where I could actually check my bags and know, hey, I shouldn't throw that away because these are my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I get back on the mic and tell my friends, like, And mind you, there were only 2 of them in there. And I told him like, hey, I know what happened to my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And like, yeah, where they at, man? And there were 2 of them at the time. It was only 2 of them. And they remember the story very well. I told them, you remember how, like, you remember how I brought my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to McDonald's when we were dueling? I remember what I carried them in? And like, oh yeah. Like, bro, you carried them like those 2 big ass trash bags, man. And I was like, right. And then one of them immediately cut me off and said, wait a minute. Don't tell me you did what I think you did. Bro, I just fall silent. I fall silent, bro. And he's like, Trey. Don't tell me you did what I think you did. And I just take a deep breath and I'm like, I threw him away, bro. And then the one guy I was supposed to duel that weekend, he was like, ah. They both let out a sigh of pain for me. And I'm trying to tell, like, I mean, it's not all that bad, you know? I mean, most of the cards I didn't use, but I still got my Labyrinth, my Reptiles. Those are decks I've mainly been using. But my Trap Tricks hurt so bad, bro. And everything else hurt. And this is me just putting up a facade, like, at least the most important cards made it, right? Nah. But in my mind, I'm like hurting. I'm like very angry at myself for being so silly. Like my Amazements, all of the cards I got from like Yugi's World and like the Legendary Collection 1 and 2, my Exodias, my Earthbound Immortals, my Destiny boards, they're all gone, man. And let me explain why this was such a big loss and why this story is called, like how I almost lost $600+. For those of y'all don't understand, card collecting is something you do for a hobby and you can play with them at times, but they're also worth a lot of money. The Yu-Gi-Oh cards can go for a lot of money. The more you collect, the higher your stash becomes, right? And I have been collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards a lot. I spent probably over $1,000, close to $2,000 on this collection. So truth be told, I put in 600 plus because it's to be safe, but it's probably should be over $1,000+. That should be the title of this video. I had a secret rare Skullmeister that went for $96. I had a secret rare E-Fury that went for $75. I had a secret rare Ready Set Duel which went for $80. I had a Sprite Blue at the time that went for $260. I had 2 of the TR Elements Field Spell that went for $86. I had some secret rare cards in there. Along with the other cards that I had that were worth some good money too. Like Ashwell from that time, either went for $60 and so forth. And my stash was huge. When I tell you I had enough Ziploc bags to fill up like 2 trash bags worth. It was a lot of money. And TGC Player calculates how much money you have, right? TGC Player counts my stuff that I bought from them to be like $700 something, and that's just the stuff I bought from TGC Player, not the stuff I bought outside from that off that website. That was a lot of money that I just threw away, and that's what really upset me. I mean, the cards are one thing, but the amount of money I lost for like 3 years of collecting, man, it hit. And I had to call off the duel. I just was like, bro, we can't do it this weekend. I mean, I had to do it with my reptile deck, but it's like, you know, we probably cannot duel now because I threw away my only thing I was going to duel with. It was a lot of money. If I sold that stuff, I would get a lot of money back for it. It would be a lot of money coming back if I sold all my cards. That would never do, but it's worth a lot of money, right? So I even told the other guy in the party, he joined in Vision, and he was like, bro, like, you know, if you don't find if you're not able to get your cards back and stuff, I'll help you get them back. I'll, you know, lend you some money. I'll help you recollect them. And in my head, I'm like, oh, that's a sweet gesture. Like, you know, I got a real friend for that. But at the same time, he doesn't understand how Yu-Gi-Oh card collecting works. You can't see when you buy these cards. Most people get their collection from buying them in sets like deck builder sets with the new archetypes and stuff like that, right? But individually, it's a different story. When you buy a Yu-Gi-Oh card set, you have and you pull an expensive card. So like, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh sets usually are like $60 or whatever, right? For the whole box of pack of cards, right? And you have a chance, the amount of money you make back, like for opening all the packs, those cards usually, for the entire set, is worth more than the box you bought. Especially if you pull something like a secret rare that's worth $90, $200, and stuff like that. You're making more money off the individual cards from the set than you are on the actual set you spent. That's why people do challenges on YouTube where they buy the whole set, make their money back off the card, and then buy a whole other set until they run out of money. You are making more from the individual card than the actual set. So him trying to have me buy those cards back would cost way, probably 10 times the amount of money that I actually spent on getting those cards. And that's excluding the secret rares like the Skullmeister, Ready Set Duel, and E-Fury and stuff like that. You know, it just, you're not, like, while you're being a great friend, you're not about to drop your entire wallet on some cards. You know what I mean? Especially when they're that much. Like, if you see a card called, like, Baron de Fleur costs like $124 for one card, and you gotta buy 3 of them, you're not doing that. You're not dropping $200 on some cardboard unless you're a competitive player. So while it was a good gesture, I knew realistically, I was like, nah, you're probably not gonna do that for me. So I literally sat there in defeat, and they were telling me like, well, you know, did you check the trash bin? And I was like, no, I didn't, but there's no point. It's, you know, it's Wednesday, and you know, the trash truck runs it. They run really early, and it's 2:30 now. It's not in there. You know what I mean? It can't hurt to check, right? And they were like, yeah, bro, I really feel that pain, man. I know that feels. You know, me personally collecting football cards and stuff like that. And in my head, I'm like, shut up. You don't know how it feels. Like, you really don't. You didn't spend nearly as much money as I spent on these cards. No, you don't know how it feels. Don't sympathize with me. This hurts. But, you know, eventually I work up the courage. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go check the trash bins. And me, I know it's like a futile effort, right? I put on my shoes, my hoodie, my sweatpants, and walk outside. And to my horror, the 2 trash bins are already down the road. And I'm like, oh no. And not only that, but those lids were all the way down. Now, y'all know usually when a week goes by, you muster a bunch of trash, usually the lids are popped up because there's so much trash in the bin to where the lids can't even close fully, right? And I thought I remembered the lids being like packed where they couldn't close. So seeing them close, like, oh God, they threw away the cards. Oh no. So, you know, I'm walking down there slowly, get to the bins, I pray, I take a deep breath, and I open the lids. And what I see in the lids are a bunch of trash bags still. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's still some trash in here, you know, some white bags and stuff. But in my head, I'm like, the lid's low, so maybe they just started putting trash in there today. So, you know, I start digging through the trash. And then at the very bottom, I see 2 trash bags that are like, not tied all the way. I'm like, okay. And then I look at the outside of the bag, and I can see like the pink little lining of a Ziploc bag, the little seal. I can see that, and I can see a green seal where the Ziploc bag was sealed too. And then I realized they're my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Guys, when I tell you, I threw the top bags off so quick, like, bro, I took them off and I just dumped them in the grass of like the yard, bro. I just took them off so quick, scrambled, got my bags out there. There was some stuff falling out of the trash, but I really didn't care. At the time, the neighbor across the street was looking at me like I was crazy. I didn't care. I got those bags so quick, boy, and I ran up the driveway so fast and through the door, bro. I put the trash back in there, closed the lid. I like slammed and I ran upstairs so quick, boy. I was jumping for joy. It was like that gut feeling went away instantly. It felt like I got hit by lightning, bro. I felt like my energy and adrenaline was just boom. Boy, I was so happy. I was so happy, bro. Like, my heart was pounding so hard. I get upstairs, immediately take them out of the trash bag, and I throw them away. I throw the trash bags away. And thankfully the cards, because they were in Ziploc bags, none of them got damaged. Thank God they're all in like perfect condition. They were in. None of them are damaged. The only thing that was in there was like maybe like a piece of like a ketchup packet, but it didn't damage any of the cards. Ziploc bags are also fine too. So I go to the PlayStation controller, right? And all you hear is this. What's up, guys? And they're like, did you get him? And I was like, yeah, I got him. They were still there. And they were like, woo, like, bro. Like, bro, oh, thank God, bro. I would feel real bad for you. That was the guy I was supposed to do. He said, I would have felt real bad for you to get that stuff, bro. That would have been mega pain, bro. I know how much you spend money on that stuff. And the other guy was like, hell yeah. Like, so I hope you got a valuable lesson, bro. Like, you ain't been to store them with no trash bags anymore, right? I said, oh, hell no, that's done. Like, bro, I got like a actual carrying bag now to put those Ziploc bags. And I would never put them in trash bags again, bro. I took them all and put them on the top of my shelf. And that was that, man. So, never since have I put them in trash bags ever. They've always been in a carrying bag, and they've always been at the top of my shelf. Especially with my new cards. I recently got all the Makinko cards, including that expensive Ohime. Right now, going for $40-something and stuff like that. Yeah, she's not getting thrown away. After all the amount of money I put in that and the cards prior, they're all in Ziploc bags. They're all safe and sound on the top of my closet rack. So let that be a lesson to Yu-Gi-Oh players or investors in general. Don't store your product in trash bags. Otherwise, you'll be like me and you might nearly lose $600+.